got another keyboard. I saw this thing unnamed posted to the mechanical keyboards subreddit, and in the comments people were begging to know what the heck this thing was. Eventually OP responded and said that this was a Libra Mini, which I had never heard of before, and that he got it on AliExpress. So of course I went there and looked it up, and as it turns out, this board's only $100. But come on. You think I'm not gonna point out the elephant in the room? Put your knobs on the shelf and your scroll wheels in the closet. We have a new contender for the best keyboard input that doubles as a little fidget toy. The Joystick. This keyboard is basically if like an Akko Alice Plus and a GameCube controller had a steamy love affair in the back of a Ford Mondeo in the parking lot of a Denny's and pooped out a baby. Except much classier. I mean, look at this thing. It looks so good. It looks so nice. Hey, Cooper and I just wanted to say that if you haven't liked the video yet, please consider it. Thank you. So enough talking, let's take you through the build process. I started by putting some standoffs onto the plate and assembling the stabilizers. On my Discord server, I actually asked everybody if they thought that I should use TX stabs or stabies, because I had both on hand. Overwhelmingly everyone said TX stabs, so that's what I went with. They really only took a little bit of 205 grade 0, the way you would normally lube a stabilizer, and that's it. These things had no rattle, and you don't have to mod them or anything. Believe the hype when it comes to the TX stabs. Honestly, I should really make a video comparing TX stabs and stabies. I think I will. Stay tuned for that. Hit subscribe. I'm actually trying to hit 10K by September 22nd, so if you're not subscribed yet, please help me out. Then you gotta put a bunch of screws and standoff thingies together to assemble all of the acrylic part. Peeling off the paper from all of those acrylic pieces is kind of tedious, and I would say it's the only kind of not fun part about this build, because you'll be doing it a lot. There's just so many pieces. Connect some cables, assemble the base, add the gaskets, and put it all together, sealing the deal with some top pieces. For the switches, I decided to go linear with the Gateron Vermilion bird switches. I actually reviewed these a few months ago, and I talked about how I think they're some of the most underrated Gateron switches on the market. They have a 2-stage spring, they're a long pull, they're super smooth, and they sound great. Stock or lubed. If you're thinking of checking them out, please use my affiliate link down below at Lboard. Here's something really cool about a stacked acrylic board like this. I was watching Hot Types' video recently where he goes to a keyboard meetup, and he actually meets up with Yura PSD, who is on Instagram and posts amazing content about keyboards. She actually did this really cool thing where she cut out pieces of origami and put it between the top 2 layers so that it was see-through through the acrylic. I love when people make custom keyboards truly custom beyond just buying their own switches and keycaps for a build, but really going in and adding their own artistic flair to it. It's just so cool. I've also seen people swap out the joysticks. Now, I'm not sure if people are spray painting theirs or buying different colored joysticks, but here's a few examples of what they're doing. So I popped on some GMK Hennessy because frankly, I am out of keycap sets and that's all I had left. But I found out that GMK Hennessy from Drop does not have very good kitting, and there were a lot of modifiers missing. This is a weird layout, so I actually ended up grabbing my Novel Keys Cherry Taro and taking the modifiers from there, as well as the split spacebar. Kind of like a hodgepodge of keycaps, but it really does look great, and sorry if this is against the rules in the keyboard community, I guess, whatever, who cares. It's really giving me like purple GameCube vibes or like Wildberry Pop-Tart. Real quick, if you like the desk mat that I've been using throughout this video, you can check one out and use my affiliate link at AltKeys and grab one for yourself. Quick review of the board before I talk about the analog stick. This is ridiculous value for the price. Probably one of the more intensive but fun builds that I've done. I've only tried it stock, but there's definitely opportunity to tape mod and maybe throw some foam in there if you want to alter the sound of the board. The board overall sounds a little bit quiet, so tape mod might make it pop a bit more, but I haven't noticed any issues with the board sounding like hollow or metallic or anything like that. The build quality itself is really solid as long as you make sure to tighten the screws just the right amount. Too tight and you might risk cracking the acrylic, but too loose and it's gonna feel a little unstable. So make sure you're hitting that sweet spot when you're building this, and then the build quality is fantastic. Not only is this thing hot swap, it supports screw-in stabilizers. It's gasket mounted and offers the option for split backspace, which is what I ended up using. Everything worked out of the box with the exception of one critical thing. When I was first trying out the board, I was freaking out because my right B wasn't working. I thought maybe the hot swap socket went bad or it was soldered incorrectly and I was gonna have to be a wizard and go fix it and everything. But in my frustration, I decided to load up the JSON file in VIA, and I found that the right B for some reason was defaulted as a modifier for layers. I legitimately thought my PCB was bad on the right side. So anyway, let my mistake be a warning to you. If you do end up getting this keyboard, your right B is not broken. It's just you just need to go into VIA and change it. If I had one critique about the board, it's really surprisingly tall, but you're probably going to want a wrist rest for this thing, or if you hover with your hands, you'll be fine. Make sure you consider that. The layout on this board is really funky. Just if you're buying keycaps, make sure that you buy a set that has really good kitting that's going to cover all your bases. Also, a common question I saw across forums was, are you going to accidentally hit the joystick while you're normally typing? And I did not find that to be the case. We can finally talk about the joystick. This freaking joystick makes this keyboard so unique and fun and weird and just goofy, and I think it is like the coolest thing ever. Basically, the joystick acts as arrow keys. It functions in 4 main directions as well as 4 in-between directions, like if you were holding 2 arrow keys at the same time. So no, it's not a full 360 degrees, but it actually functions quite nicely. With VIA, you can program it to do a ton of things. For example, volume up and down, scrolling up and down, scrolling through timelines. You can even use this thing as a mouse itself, kind of like the little nipple in the middle of the keyboard on a ThinkPad. Although the controls for using it as a mouse were kind of janky and I wouldn't recommend doing that. But the question you probably wanted to know, since I've broken out all my controllers, can you game with this thing? And the answer is yes, kind of, with some caveats. But yes, I think 2D games like Hollow Knight, Celeste, top-down games like 2D Zeldas, as well as Undertale and Pokemon are going to be great if you want a nicer control scheme, if you want to use a joystick for those games. But certain games are going to be a little weird. For example, any kind of 3D game. I tested Twilight Princess, which is a 3D Zelda game. I found that while it does work and you can do things like run around in circles and stuff like that, the real problem is going to be little tiny incremental movements. So anything where there's platforming, where you have to make really precise movements, this is not the control scheme you're going to want to use. You're going to want to get a controller. When you hit the joystick, it goes from 0 to 100 like a key press. It either is pressed or it isn't. So there's no such thing as like walking slowly or inching up or doing little baby taps. It's just not possible. And while I think you could beat Zelda Twilight Princess with this control scheme, it might not be the best time. So you might want to stick to more basic games, avoid big 3D games. That being said, it can be done. So it just depends on how good you are, I don't know. Now, I think what makes this board really cool and shine is that it's a 40%, but it still has arrow keys functionality because of the thumbstick. As my first tented Alice and my first 40%, this thing was definitely a learning curve. So jump into VIA, get really familiar with the layers and customize those layers to really work for you, and you're gonna have a fun time with this board. Overall, this layout has really helped actually with my touch typing. I'm learning to really designate each hand for the keys that they're meant to press. I would say it's pretty comfortable aside from its height. All of this for $100. Can't even believe that it's so cheap and affordable. And you can even get it cheaper if you buy it on sites like Taobao. I believe it's only like $70. For a budget board to be this weird and unique and interesting, but also actually be really solid in terms of its feel and its sound is so honestly mind-blowing for the price. And it even offers 2 plate options as well as the option to build the right side without the joystick. So you have full customization of this thing. I knew when I bought this that even if I didn't like using it, I would still build it just to have it as a cool thing to put on display. I mean, come on, look at this. It looks so good. I love this thing and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now I have to give a huge shout out to my homies on the Discord server for helping me throughout the build process. They were there for me when I needed them most. Thank you, everybody. If you want to get in on that action in the Discord, join us. I'm active there. I literally hang out with people in the Discord. I chat all the time. So if you want to come talk to me, join the Discord. Links below. And I guess with that, what a weird video. I've got some amazing content cooking and I hope you guys stick around and maybe subscribe, maybe like the video. That would be sweet. And as always, don't be a stranger. Cooper and I just wanted to say that we're so happy to have you. Thanks for watching till the end. And thank you so much for all the support that you've given me. I truly don't even feel like I deserve it, but you gave it to me anyway, and I appreciate that.